General Montgomery and General Clark confer on the final plans which are to bring the Allied Fifth Army to the assault on Naples. With Monte's warriors plunging forward up the Adriatic coast, the Anglo-American Fifth gathers momentum for the capture of Naples. Enemy snipers posted at windows and on rooftops are searched out by British infantrymen on the outskirts of the town of Cava. Mortars are brought up to deal with machine gun posts and strong points. Having successfully fought its way over the mountains into the plains of Naples, the Fifth streams on through towns and villages. This is Nocera on the road to Pompeii. In Castellamare harbor, sunken ships add to the general destruction, while blown bridges over the canal tell of German efforts to delay our advance. Vesuvius smolders in the background, while a broadside from a squadron of Sherman tanks is sent into the German lines. As the German rearguards move out, our columns swiftly enter. 3.7s rushed forward to engage their massed forces, drawing steadily away. In the early morning, British and American units making their final drive on Naples, entering the town of Scafati. Civilians begin to pop out of every building to demonstrate with cheers and hand claps. The rarest thing in Italy today is a fascist salute, or for that matter, a fascist. Where they've gone to, and once there were 7 million of them, is a mystery. Tactical Air Force bombers shown in these RAF film unit pictures are being sent in to make the German retreat as difficult and costly as possible. American Mitchells, leaving Naples behind them, make heavy and concentrated raids on the northern exits from the city. Troop concentrations and roads are pounded thoroughly. The absence of German fighter protection was a depressing influence on the Nazis. They had to rely almost wholly on ground defenses to counter the weighty Allied air attacks. Americans advancing from Adgerola emerge from a large tunnel in the mountains, the only pass which cuts through the range. A line of vehicles waiting to enter Pompeii. Italy's celebrated sightseeing spot for tourists has an influx of visitors which eclipses all previous records. Looking towards the famous ruins, which, except for an odd shell crater or two, look just as knocked about as they have for hundreds of years. Resting place of 3 British war correspondents at Scafati. The graves of Sale, Austin and Mundy, killed by a shell fired from a German tank. British forces coming upon an Axis concentration camp release hundreds of anti-fascist Italians and German Jews. First people to be freed from the horrors of internment under dictator rule. For 3 years, this mixed community had suffered semi-starvation and ill usage. While life there was not to be compared with German concentration camps, the internees were subjected to many indignities. Czechs, Poles, Yugoslavs, Negroes and Chinese were numbered among them. Our first consideration was food. Rations were issued, and those things which had been denied them made available by their liberators. The sorrows of 3 years of torment were partially dispelled by kindness, which for them had vanished with the years. Many firm friendships had been formed in the camp. Here are two families taking leave of each other as they separate to start new lives. A young Jewish couple had been married in the camp where they met. No more will they have to face the future with fear. The threat of persecution no longer hangs over them. One of the four freedoms is theirs. Havoc created in Naples has been greatly added to by demolition and destruction carried out by the Germans. This is the ruined front door into the city. British troops were the first to enter. The biggest prize yet to fall to the Allies in this campaign. They swarmed into the city and out again with scarcely a pause, leaving other forces coming up behind to complete the occupation. Two young Germans, little more than boys, were rounded up by Italians and handed over. Bordering on tears, the juvenile Nazis must feel that the world's against them. They're right. On reaching the center of the city, thousands of shouting, hysterical people started to swarm around the lorries, tanks, and cars. It was the start of an amazing scene. In a short while, many streets were jammed tight with a howling, cheering, weeping mob. Here's a press car snowed up under an avalanche of wildly excited Neapolitans. See Naples and die from laryngitis. This was Italy's second most important city in the year of good gracious me, 1943.